Hi everyone, this is Brian Hayes and welcome to the Note Name Game for Fretboard Basics for Guitar Players, Volume 3. This is a simple, fun little exercise that will really test how well you have absorbed and put into practice the content from Volume 1 and Volume 2 in this series of Fretboard Basics. All you need to do is get a sheet of paper, pair of scissors, cut the paper up into multiple small squares, and on each square of paper write the first 7 letters from the English alphabet. So 1 letter per square, and then just get a container of some sort and put those squares of paper in the container. So that was A and B. Here we've got C and D. I'll put that in the container. E and F, and finally G. So we've got A, B, C, D, E, F and G written on separate squares of paper. What we now do is just like a magician's trick. We juggle the order of those bits of paper around, toss them around, and basically we just at random dig in and reach a piece of paper, pull it out, and whatever that note is, so that's the note E, what the game is that we now have to play that note E on each of the 6 strings of the guitar. But one of the rules is we can't use the open string. Every note has to be a fretted note. So our task is to play E, that's our first task, and we'll just have another dig in and get a second task there, so at random. Okay, this time we've pulled out the note C. So I'll grab my guitar now, and remember that our first task is to play the note E on each of the 6 strings of the guitar, but we are not allowed to use an open string. And then the second test will be to play the note C on each of the 6 strings. Again, it has to be a fretted note. Okay, so hopefully you've grabbed your guitar too. Now remember, the first question for the Note Name Game was to play a fretted note, the value equaling E, on each of our 6 strings. So we've picked an easy one to start with. The first string is the note E and the 6th string is the note E. But remember, the Note Name Game says you have to fret the note. So we can't get away with that. We actually have to play a fretted note. And the question is, where would E on the first string be if we have to push our finger on a fret? So if you think back to the chromatic scale, E, F, F sharp G, G sharp A sharp B, C, C sharp D, D sharp E. Wow, what a long way to find that note. It was right down the end. It was the last note in that chromatic scale. And if you think back to what we've been talking about, remember the 12th fret is the octave point for all of the 6 open strings. So really the answer to that should have been very clear cut. But if you're new to this, you might have had to do what I did there and just find that E the slow, hard way. So first string, that's where we're going to play E on the 12th fret. On the 6th string, we're going to do it in the same spot. Where are we going to find an E, a fretted E, on the 2nd string? Can you think it out without having to count up the chromatic scale? What fret number is the note E on the 2nd string, which is called the B string? Okay, it's actually the 5th fret. And if you weren't too sure of that, you'd go back to the chromatic scale. B, C, C sharp, D, D sharp, and then on the 5th fret we find an E. So we now know we've got E on the 1st string on the 12th fret. On the 2nd string it's on the 5th fret. Now where is there an E on the 3rd string? So the 3rd string is the G string, but which fret number will we have to put our finger on the 3rd string for it to be the note E? So just try and think that through. And again, when you're doing this and watching this, just pause it and see if you can work it out before I show you the answer. Okay, so E on the third string is here, right down here on the 9th fret of the guitar. And if you're not sure of that, G, G sharp A sharp B, C, C sharp D, D sharp E. So now we've got E, E, E. We get to the 4th string of the guitar, which is the note D. Now this should be really easy, this one. Think about that. The string is called D, but we're looking for the note E. So D, D sharp, E. It's sitting there right on the 2nd fret. So we've got E, 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 E. Now we move to the 5th string. The note game is exactly the same question. Where on the 5th string will we find the note E? Again, pause this video if you're not sure. Okay, so E on the 5th string is here. It's on the 7th fret. A sharp B, C, C sharp D, D sharp E. And we've already worked out on the 6th string that it's right down here on the 12th fret. So the idea of the note name game is that you should be able to just pull out a question from your container, look at the note, and then just play it. So the answer really should have been without any counting up. If you're really on top of your fretboard, you should be able to say, okay, they wanted E, the game wanted E, there's an 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 E, and there's an E. So there's the 6 different positions on the fretboard for that note. Okay, and in many ways, as I said, that was a bit of an easy one we picked, but the second one we picked at random was the note C. So before I give you the answer, what you're asking yourself is, which fret on the 1st string will you find the note C? So again, just pause the video and see if you can find that answer yourself. And when you've got it, restart the video. How did you go? Did you find it sitting there on the 8th fret of the 1st string? That's where C is. E, F, F sharp G, G sharp A sharp B, C. Okay, so obviously on the 6th string, when we get to it, we've already answered the fret position for the 6th string as well. They are 2 octaves apart, but the notes are identical. Name position on the frets on the 2 outside E strings of the guitar. So we move to the 2nd string of the guitar, a very easy question. Where is the note C on the 2nd string of the guitar, knowing that the 2nd string of the guitar is the B string? So where do you think C is going to be? Hopefully it's screaming out in your mind that it's the 1st fret, because we've, in volume 1 and volume 2, we've stressed that B and C are side by side. They are 1 semitone or 1 fret away from each other. So if that's a B, C is the next fret. Fret 0 is B, fret 1 is C. So we know that we've got a C here and we've got a C there. We move to the 3rd string, and the question is, where is C located on the 3rd string? Now, the 3rd string open is G, but your question is, where do you find C on that string? Okay, so the answer is, it's here. It's on the 5th fret. G, G sharp A sharp B, C. Okay, we move to the 4th string, which is D. Now remember, we're looking for the note C. Have you got any idea where the note C as a fretted note would be found on the D string? So maybe just pause the video again and then come back after you've thought this out yourself. Okay, how did you go? Did you find it down here on the 10th fret? Okay, because if that's a D, the 12th fret is also a D, and we can just count backwards. We know that C and D are a tone away from each other, or 2 frets, or we could have done it the hard way. D, D sharp E, F, F sharp G, G sharp A A sharp, B, C. And we would, either way, we would have found C sitting on the 10th fret of the 4th string of the guitar. Now the final string that's left is the A string, and this is again pretty easy. This is the note A. The question is, where on that string, the 5th string of the guitar, will you find a C? Have a think about that. Did you find it there? On the 3rd fret, A sharp, B, and C. Okay, it's such a great way to challenge yourself as to your knowledge. It's almost like going to a music lesson and the teacher's just asked you a question, you've walked in the door, and without notice you're being asked, well, play me the note C on the 6 strings of the guitar. So the note name game is expecting you to be able to go C, 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 and C without all the counting up. I really hope you've had a bit of fun and enjoyed the note name game. It's a wonderful way to put yourself under some pressure in a real life playing environment. It's no good being able to play all of the chromatic scales on the guitar and in an academic fashion say the names of the notes and sort of tick off to say, yes, I've passed that test. The real test is, you know, just juggle a note out of the container. And here's a bit of homework for you. So I've managed to pull out the note F. So as homework from this tutorial, remember the task is to play 6 consecutive Fs. You have to use a fretted note. And I'll add an additional challenge in. You should be able to play those 6 notes at the speed of 60 beats a minute. So you can put a metronome on, you know the task is the note F, and you should be able to play F, 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 and each one of those is on a new string. 1st string, 2nd string, 3rd string. If you can play those 6 consecutive Fs at the speed of 1 note per second without having to count up the fretboard to try and find where those notes are, wow, you've made a huge step forward in your knowledge of the guitar fingerboard. As always, keep in touch via my website, www.brianhayes.biz. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. Drop me an email if you have any basic questions about music tuition. But most of all, enjoy your never-ending search for knowledge as you advance on the guitar. Bye for now.